Well, good morning, BCOT247 students. Mr.D here, and it is week 9 of our 16-week course on business communication at Cerritos College. And I'm going to share with you the assignments that you're going to be working on this week and talk a little bit about what you have been working on up to this point. First off, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. So let's see. Oop, wrong way. There we go. All right, sorry, I'm using my left hand. I have had surgery, as some of you know. So anyway, here's our class. Just wanted to reiterate a couple things before I move into the actual assignments or the module for this week. First off is your individual presentations. I've pretty much graded everything that has been turned in where a student has also commented on two other students' presentations. So part of the assignment is not just submitting your individual presentation, but it's also viewing and commenting on other students. So if you've not gotten graded yet, it's because you've not commented on other students' posts, or maybe you did and they were very brief. Your comments need to be at least 50 words. So go back, make sure that you've commented. If yours hasn't been graded, if you've not commented and viewed other students' presentations, then please do that. Make your comments, and then I will grade yours. So that's the first thing I wanted to cover. Second is we are fully into our writing assignments. We started last week with writing for digital channels. You guys did an instant message, a blog, and a tweet. And by the way, I gave you 2 perfect examples of blogs in the homework assignment, and all you needed to really do was to match that as far as how they looked, but then write your own. And a lot of you just ignored what we learned in the homework assignment. So I just want to reiterate, to get a good grade, I'm pretty much giving you samples for which you can follow, and how the document looks, how it reads, how it's laid out. So make sure you're copying what I'm demonstrating or what I'm showing you. That's just the quickest and easiest way to get a decent grade. But last week, some of you just did a blog on your own. You just did a paragraph of text. Maybe you had a picture, maybe you didn't. Maybe you had a catchy title, maybe you didn't. But I'm going to encourage you to go back and check your grade. By the way, any writing assignment that we do, you're welcome to redo it and re-upload it to try and get a better score. So anyway, here we are in week number 8 of our class. That was last week was week number 7. So we looked at elements of a blog. So in there, I give you 2 examples of what a blog should look like. So if you didn't make your blog look like that, make sure you go back and do that. You did your writing assignment number 1, and we looked at chapter 5, which was routine business messages and digital channels. Now we move into week number 8, and we're going to be looking at memos. So you're going to be learning on how to demonstrate or how to write a memo. And in this case, it is, actually, this is the week we worked on. Sorry, I'm jumping back 2 weeks. This week, you guys did the memo, and I did put a video here on business writing that I just recorded for another class at Norco College. And so I go through all of the do's and don'ts of business writing. In fact, I'm even doing that assignment. I'm doing the do's and don'ts of business writing for some of you that may have missed it. But most importantly of all, it's what I'm looking for in all the writing assignments. So I put this that you must watch it. And I did add it to this week's or last week's module. I'm also going to be adding it to this week's module. But last week you did a memo. I gave you a Zoom session on how to format a memo. I gave you a sample of it. And then you had elements of a memo, which is pointing out the different parts of a memo. You have a title block. You have the word memorandum. You have margins. You have the body. You have the initials of the author. Remember, memos do not have a signature block. They just have the initials of the author. And so that's what you did last week. You wrote a memo, and I'll be grading those this week. So now moving into this week, I apologize, we're into week number 9. So you're going to be doing your check-in assignment. We're going to be looking at negative messages this week. So there's one thing that we're going to be adding to our writing assignment, and that is what's called a buffer. And it's kind of a neutral statement. On your negative message, it kind of takes away a little bit of the, the seriousness of the negative message, or just kind of helps us to gather some common ground. And there's a lot of great examples in the PowerPoints this week for that particular topic. But make sure you use a buffer, and make sure you use the indirect strategy. If you remember, the indirect strategy starts with the buffer, continues with all the reasons for the negative news, and then the very last thing it gives you is the negative news. Don't start with the negative news, end with the negative news. And so you're going to be writing an email. So I give you a whole example of what an email should look like. It's called homework assignment, elements of an email. So I'm showing you how to format the email through the homework assignment. Make sure your email looks a lot like that email, and make sure you use a full signature block at the end of your email. But you're going to be covering that topic, negative messages from chapter 7. You're going to be writing an email, and your homework is pointing out the different parts of an email, what's wrong with the good one, or what's wrong with the bad one, what's good about the good one. And I give you a sample of both, and then you're going to be writing a negative message on a negative email message. And that topic on that one is going to be that there's no longer going to be social media at work. And so make sure when you write it that you start with a buffer. Maybe something like, we recognize the value of social media, how positive it can be, and how useful it is in business today. However, we've seen these problems coming up. So that's your reasons. And you list as many problems as you can find in the scenario. Don't just give me one, give me many reasons. Make it detailed. And then at the end of all your reasons, therefore, in light of these reasons, we are no longer allowing social media to be used during work hours. So using the indirect strategy, you start off with the buffer, you build the reasons why you're going to give them bad news, then you give them the bad news, and then you give a courteous close. So I'm basically just told you how to do it. Make sure you do it that way, and you'll get a decent grade. And make sure you use the design elements for readability: bullet lists, headings, bold text, italicized text. Business writing is not essay writing. It's short, single-spaced paragraphs separated by a space, and the use of many design elements. That's the difference between writing an essay and doing business writing. So forget all that you learned in English 1A about how the document looks, and make it look like a business document by using short, single-spaced paragraphs separated by spaces, bullet lists, headings, bold text, etc. And you'll do decent on your writing assignments. All right, well, that's all I have for this week, everybody. Have a great week. If you have any questions or issues, please don't hesitate to get a hold of me. And we'll see you all next week as we do